Namaste again. I thought we'd go through, maybe we'll do a few of the chapters today. I think we'll do self-inquiry, competence, and constituents. Okay, what is self-inquiry? Why do we do it? Why is it beneficial? And I haven't spoken about this part of it for a little while, so it might be a good time to go through this self-inquiry. Okay. What is the nature of self-inquiry? What is its purpose? Is there any greater good obtainable by any other means? The I thought is said to be the sum total of all thoughts. The source of the I thought has to be inquired into. Now, when they're talking about the I thought, they're talking about the limited ego. Everything starts with I want, I this, I that, I, okay? And taking this illusion and delusion to be the I, okay? This is self-inquiry and not the study of scriptures, okay? If one is looking into what the practice I give is, what is this I? Question, what is this I? Whatever comes and goes cannot be the eternal self, the eternal I. When we speak of I as a self with a big S, the self, the absolute, that which is beyond the limitational identification as a self, okay? We're looking for that which does not come and go, that which is permanent, okay, which remains, the essence of being. What is this I, okay? And so consequently, what is this I not? What is this limited ego self? What is that? What is the illusion of that? What is that, okay? So the self-inquiry and not the study of scriptures, when the source is searched for, the ego gets merged in it, okay? When the ego, which is a mere reflection of the self, totally disappears, what remains is the true self along in all its plenitude and perfection. Again, when realization takes place, that ego self implodes. Okay, it's no longer, it has any viability. All that you thought and all the baggage you had is blown out in a second. That's why it says, nibbana, blown out. Okay, all of these things are blown out, as if they had never been. Okay. The result of self-inquiry is freedom from all suffering. This is the highest of all fruits. There is nothing higher than this. It is such a blessing to have all the old baggage, that was in life gone, and one knows that there is no death in the end. There is just simply that absolute, and it changes forms along the way. That's all. Okay. One is ever aware of that when realization and moksha is entered. Okay. Marvelous occult powers may be had through other means, but in the end, freedom can only come through self-inquiry. And this is something I speak on all the time. All these people may be going after this course, that course, doing this, doing that, gaining powers and thinking they have something. They're gathering and collecting more and more baggage. It does not bring that peace that passes understanding. The only thing that does that is realization. Okay? And when enters genuine realization, I guarantee there's no need to go to any other courses or be searching for anything else. That's it. It's the end of the search. One is done. One knows one's done. If one doesn't know one is done and they're still seeking, then it's not self-realization. I don't care what any teacher is telling you. When it's done, it's done, it's done. And all the baggage falls and everything becomes new again. All the former things have passed away. What remains is simply the awareness of that absolute is. Primal. Perfection. always. Okay? So who is considered fit for this inquiry? Can one by oneself know one's own fitness? He whose mind has been purified through upasana and other means or by merit acquired in past lives. Now, upasana is like sitting, close to the guru, whatever, this can aid in opening one up. It helps to still the mind if one is around a genuine guru, that his mind is absolutely in stillness. This can help to prepare one for that type of a journey. Or again, if you have merit in past lives, this does not happen in one lifetime. People think they get on the path and in a year I'm going to get self-realized. It takes lifetimes of dedicated searching. And this is why when that final last knot is cut, that last thread is cut and realization takes place, it's almost like hitting a brick wall, because at that point you go, well, now what? The search is ended. That's been your whole focus for lifetimes, that search. And now that search is ended, one goes, well, now what? It's really a shock. I can tell you it can be very much a shock, because that's been one's focus, primary driving power for lifetimes. Okay? Whoever perceives the imperfections of the body and sense objects and feels utter distaste whenever his mind has to function among the sense objects, and who realizes that the body is impermanent, he is said to be a fit person for self-inquiry. Exactly. Here it was, I'll do whatever I can, whatever need to take place to be out of here. Was so done with it. There was nothing attractive for me there was in the beginning. In this lifetime was just suffering. Just suffering. It was terrible. There was nothing of any interest for me in this world. Okay? I had no, wish to be here. Well, matter-of-factly speaking, okay? So I was very ripe for doing self-inquiry, because whatever it takes, I don't care. I'm done with this, So if one is extremely dissatisfied and found that, there's nothing here that's going to bring that type of happiness, then one's ready to look beyond. The only thing I wanted to know, what is God? What is God? Is God? I didn't even know at that point if God existed, doesn't exist. I want to know. That was the primary driving force. I'm suffering. I don't want to be here. Is there God? Is there not God? What is the reality? And that is the point that I began in this lifetime. And like I said, through the things, it was the wisdom opened up that there had been many, many, many lifetimes all within this search. And it picks up where you leave off. When you come in again and you've got that parabdha karma that you bring in with you, you will pick up where you left off and continue your search. Okay? By these two signs, that is, by a sense of the transitoriness of the body and by non-attachment to sense objects, one's own fitness for self-inquiry can be known. Okay, so again, non-attachment to sense objects. You're not out there looking to gather and collect more and more and more. You're not driven by wanting to be in the world, and I want to gather more and more of these things, whether it's powers or whatever it is. One sees that is not, in the end, is not going to make one happy. So if you don't have an attachment to family, whatever it is, family, you can be very attached to family and not be ready to do self-inquiry, because, that's something precious to ego and you're not ready to let it go. If you're not ready to let it go, then you're not ready to do the inquiry. Okay? It's that simple. Okay. When one is fit for self-inquiry by his non-attachments for sense objects and by discrimination or ceremonial bath, sandhya, repetition of mantras, oblations poured into the fire, chanting of Vedas, worship of gods, bhajan, pilgrimage, sacrifice, giving in charity, and observation of special spiritual practices, are these of any use, or are they a waste of time? All these things that mainly people want to do, such as you see in other paths. We'll use again Nityananda as an example. Every day they're doing these big pujas and oblations and chanting these things, okay, worshiping the gods, doing these bhajans, doing these sacrifices, on and on and on and on and on. Okay, well, for the competent beginners with waning attachments, all these aids will make the mind increasingly pure. So they have their place for a time for the beginners, for those just starting the path. That's not something that one does when one is fully engulfed in the path. One sees that those are just, again, attention to objects, attention to things, attention to attachments on the outside that one thinks is separate from themselves. Okay? But the further one goes in their journey, the more these types of things fall away as unneeded. Okay? Okay. Virtuous activity of mind, speech, and body destroys the contrary activity of mind, speech, and body. All this virtuous activity of competent persons, mature and endowed with minds of highest purity, benefits the world. Okay. Men of mature wisdom perform action for helping by example and for the welfare of others, not out of fear of violating scriptural injunctions. A lot of people, again, they go, and especially in India, I can tell you that a lot of people go to the temples and perform all these oblations and things as a way to protect themselves against the gods. Oh God, they when a baby's born, if the baby's very pretty, they'll put a big mark on him and say, no, don't look at him, God, don't look at him because he's, this child is imperfect. They've got this irrational logic sometimes that happens. And they're going to go propitiate the gods, so that they can get what they want and so that, the gods are not angry with them. Well, this is, this is not a beneficial way to begin. You're not ready for self-inquiry if you're in the mode of fear mode and you need to go propitiate something, as a way, that absolutely you're not ready for it. Okay. Virtuous actions performed without a sense of difference and without attachment do not stand, O best of men, in the way of self-inquiry. The non-performance of prescribed actions by a mature person pursuing self-inquiry is no sin. For self-inquiry in itself is the most meritorious and most purifying of actions. Okay? It's not a sin if you're not doing that. You don't need to go to the temple, and do these pujas and do all these things. It's not a sin if you don't do them. Okay? You're seeking God directly. Why do you need to propitiate God in these ceremonies when you're seeking God directly? Okay? So let go of those things. If you're in the path of self-inquiry, those things do not need to be done. They're good in the beginning as a way to attach and open and start to, again, get you in a frame of mind of being goodness and awakening and the act of devotion and the act of bhakti. But then when bhakti and all of these things are established, those things no longer need to be in place for one to go forward. Okay, Two ways of life are seen in the mature among competent seekers: renunciation of action for solitary communion and action for the good of others. If besides self-inquiry there be another way to nirvana, is it one or varied? May Bhagavan be pleased to tell me. So again, he's asking, is there another way besides self-inquiry? Is there another path, another way to self-realization or moksha or freedom? Or is this the only path to enter into realization? One strives to attain something, and the other seeks one who strives to attain. The former takes longer, and in the end attains the self. Okay, so in one path, one is doing it by more external means. Again, one can be bhakti, can be, focused on an external, and eventually it takes a longer way than if one is doing self-inquiry, neti, not this, not this, not this, and goes that opposite direction. Okay. The mind of one meditating on a single object becomes one-pointed. And one-pointedness of mind leads to abidance in the self. One who meditates attains even without desiring it, abiding in the self. The seeker, on the other hand, knowingly abides in the self. Okay. The deity, mantra, or any other excellent object on which one meditates merges in the end in the great effulgence of the self. The goal is thus the same for both the one who meditates and the one who practices self-inquiry. One attains stillness through meditation and the other through knowledge. Okay. So again, there are two ways to go, either through mantra or through self-inquiry. This path, we happen to do both. We do mantra, okay, which also aids in the cutting through. In this path, the mantras used are a way to cut through ego and enter into stillness to help to aid in stilling. And one also does self-inquiry. What is this I? Okay, and we're looking at what is this I. We look at what comes and goes, and that cannot be the I, that cannot be the self, that cannot be this absolute. If it comes and goes, one is watching the ego self. Whatever comes and goes cannot be the absolute, that primal is, okay? It can't be. The primal is unchanging, okay? So here we use the path again of neti, not this, not this, not this. Looking to see where thoughts arise from, where they go to. Okay. What gives them reality? Can a thought live out there on its own? No, it only has life when you give it attention. And when it goes, where did it go to? What reality did it have? These are things that one sits there and begins to sit in quietude and begins to observe, okay? And this is a path of, again, a self-inquiry. What is the self versus what is the ego? What is the reality versus what is the delusion, okay? In this moment, again, the only thing that's happening is X, Y, Z. Getting rid of the drama surrounding it. Also another part of learning to be in the moment and cutting through illusion and delusion to the heart of things. All of these things are different pointings that are given on this path as a way to bring self-inquiry into daily life as an ongoing thing, okay? Meditation mantras are continued to be used throughout the day. Meditation and self-inquiry are the hallmarks of this particular path. Okay, one is not exclusive to the other, exclusionary to the other. But in this path, for the most part, we don't do pujas or anything. I might recommend it for somebody that's just beginning and needs to learn how to connect to something, how to develop bhakti, how to develop one point of focus, how to learn to start to surrender into something. For that one, it's beneficial to that degree. To understand these energies and focus and how these things work. But, you know, this is not the main focus of this path, whereas you see with other paths, that is the main focus of their path, you know. And they may want to come and denigrate here because we don't do this. And then this is, again, why I say, you know, especially about Nityananda and stuff, he's playing dress up. Because the further one goes, you think that wearing a clothing makes you something. It doesn't make you anything, okay? Again, wearing the clothes of a sannyasi, okay, may help to keep your attention on your goal, whatever it is. But one can be a sannyasi whether they're wearing orange or not. It's the quality of mind, where mind is, that makes one a sadhvi or a sannyasi, okay? Not what they're wearing, okay? These external things, again, can help to bring a point of focus. Okay, keep your attention into intention going forward in one certain direction. In that way, it's beneficial. Okay, otherwise, other than that, no, it has no special power within itself. Any of these types of things. Again, they are tools that one uses along the way to begin a path. But again, the further one goes on the spiritual journey, the more of those externalized things have a tendency to fall away into something deeper that's one uses to go forward. Again, self-inquiry, mantra, these are the things that are used particularly in this path. And understanding, you know, looking at the gods as energies, different energies. You look at the god or the representation of them, and what is the energy behind that? Everything is an energetic value. What is the energetic value behind that? Okay, and then this is how we understand them. Doesn't mean that you couldn't see them as a full, almost embodied being. That can happen. But that's not what we worship, an externalized being. No, all of these energies one contains within them their own selves as well. All of these energetic things, and that's what one connects with. Okay, the energies of these beings and understand what they are and what is their function. I'll leave that here for now. Namaste. Have a great day.